had two different orders of 20 guys. I got a receiver room of 6, a running back room of 8, an O-line room, and then I got a whole D-line room.
And they're hungry as hell.
And then you got the hell of Channing Crowder gonna always be Channing Crowder.
Welcome back to the Fish Tank, presented by iHeartRadio, right here on the Miami Dolphins Podcast Network. Seth Levitt and the man with the best hands in the podcast business. He is OJ McDuffie. Juice, it's all teed up for you today. Like everything that you require in a podcast guest, we have checked every single damn box.
Single box, Big Seth. You know what I mean? And I'm tell you what, man, one of my favorites of all time. And not only for the obvious reasons that we'll get into on this podcast, but this dude right here, man, you know, he went to a university that, you know, I wanted to go to, but a lot of things happened that sent me somewhere else. But at the same time, though, man, this dude is like, he's that G. And we'll talk a little bit about what happened, you know, for a little bit in college, of course, in the pros. But everything else, the box that we're going to talk about are spot on. I don't know if there's another guy that has all the boxes checked more for me than our next guest.
I think there's one more, and he links the two of you together, and that's Chris Chambers, right?
Correct.
So, I mean, it's wideouts, it's Cleveland, it's Miami Dolphins, it's all of that. He is Ted Ginn Jr., and he's joining us right here in the Fish Tank. Ted, how you feeling today, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm happy to be here. I know y'all been chasing me for a while. You know,
wait a minute, Seth. Chasing, we're not chasing. We can't catch you. We know we can't catch you. So what are you talking about chasing you?
And with my 6'7", 40, you know, I had no shot.
No doubt, but you know, I'm just glad to be here, man. I'm glad to come on here and just take our time and enjoy this time.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, you know, Ted, Big Seth, you know, he wants to always get right into talking some Dolphin stuff. But he's going to have to wait this time. He definitely has to wait this time. You know, there's no way I'm passing up this opportunity to talk some Cleveland high school football right now.
For sure.
You talk, you know, before we got on, you talked a little bit about your dad and his legacy and what's going on there. And he's an absolute legend, you know, in the Cleveland area. But I'm going to tell you this, man. Glenville High School, you know, Seth, we didn't play against Glenville because they were too big, too strong, too fast. I went to Hawkins, little small school, you know what I mean? But, you know, it's not where you're from, it's where you're at. You know, that's kind of how I feel about things. But, Teddy, you were a national champion in the 110 hurdles. You were the USA Today Defensive Player of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive Player of the Year. You know, Desmond Howard was the plain dealer Defensive Player of the Year. But that's not national. That's a local honor that he got right there. And, you know, but we need to let Seth know that this is how we get down in Ohio. Talk about how special our hometown is when it comes to the athletic talent in general, and certainly to producing great wide receivers.
Well, I think as big as people think it is, it's small. We all come from somewhat of the same community. Like you said, you might be in Hawkins, I might be at Glenville, but we all play in the same area, especially when we came up. You know, we were still playing outside. We were still hitting Euclid Creek. You were still hitting like the main hubs that goes on in different, what we would say, hoods in our area. Because no matter if you're in Hawkins, there's a hood there. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, being able just to show up and compete. Cleveland is a competing town, you know, on the field and off the field. But as a kid growing up, man, from, you know, your guys' era to our era, you know, it was all about competing. And you was able to go see that. Like I tell kids all the time, you never seen street football until you went to see one block play against another block or one area play against another area. You know, they come out with EMS on the sideline. You might come out with a broken collarbone or something like that, and they go to the next event after that and talk about it and have fun. And it wasn't about drama that is created nowadays today through the great game of our sports. But you know, being able to see that, like we had this place called the Sports Plant as we was growing up that generated every pro athlete or upcoming athlete that you can see. I think being able just to visualize or being able to, touch people like Chris Chambers and Lee Evans and Tony Fisher and Lamont Bentley, and you just got a whole host of guys, you know what I'm saying, that come through here that really gave back to make a way for me, in my journey of, my first 18 years of my life.
Yeah, you hear that, Big Seven? You hear all those names he's dropping right
I
there?
heard them. There were a whole lot of
You
names.
got to hear how that's how we do it in Ohio, man. And one of the things that was really important, Big Seven, because you don't see this a lot of times, he's talking about taking your hood to another hood to play tackle football. We're not playing flag. We're playing some real football with no pads on.
No two-hand touch. That's what we did in my neighborhood.
From heights to heights to Cleveland, whatever heights it might be, we playing real football. And like he said, there's going to be some casualties in these games when you go up there and you play. And that's how you get good. That's how you get tough. That's how that's how you become the football players that we breed up there in Cleveland, Ohio, man. So that's big time stuff right there.
For sure, man. Can't really take away what you see with your own eyes. Just the whole little history of, just playing outside.
Yeah.
Riding your bike. Just the little things you seen by riding your bike. You know what I'm saying? Walking to the store that you just don't see nowadays no more. That really grows with you or stand with you as you walk through life. The game gives us a lot of things, but being able to see how people really just thrive through it or work through it. No matter if it's a pro game or it's an amateur game, at that same field, it was the same intensity.
Yeah, Ted. I went to Hawking, but I grew up in Warrensville Heights. You know what I mean? So it was like, and that was like, for me, that was like, that really honed my skills in terms of playing against great athletes. And we all know this, you've done it too. You played against great athletes that never, went to Ohio State or Penn State, that probably, I doubt any of them were faster than you, but you played against some great athletes like I did, that if they would have got an opportunity, man, they might have,
and better you'd have seen more. Just being like the shortest guy on the basketball team. You know what I'm saying? Like, now my height is the tallest guy on the basketball team. Like, you get what I'm saying? Just to see like 6'4" and 6'5" guys walking around and never play a sport, or 6'4" guy that could shoot the lights out and jump out the gym but could never get no grades. You know what I'm saying? Just from his background. But it just taught you how to keep getting better and better. And, I was always a sponge to watching and learning, because I come from a coach's son. You know what I'm saying? Being able just to grow up, I watched a lot of people that you wouldn't even think about that like made my game be who I am today. You know what I'm saying? Outside of having to learn the game as I got into the NFL once it changed down the line. But you know what I'm saying, just the little like home in things, like the little stuff that created you, the things that you watch your older homies do, that you like, man, I ain't about to even try or even let this little thing bother me. You get what I'm saying? It's like coming into the league. Like, you went into the league, you didn't wear no pads. I came out of the league wearing pads. Like, that was a difference for me.
Right. And Ted, before we got on, we talked a little bit about, the fact that you're back in Cleveland. I always joke on here, like, hell, I'm from Marion, Ohio. I'm not going back. But you're back in Cleveland, man. Talk about, what brought you back to Cleveland and what you're doing while you're up there. Now, we got a lot of other things to talk about, but you're back in Cleveland, and you talk about the love and all the stuff that Cleveland, has brought some athletes and things like that. Talk about you're back in Cleveland and why you're back in Cleveland.
But, there's a couple of reasons why I'm back in Cleveland. I mean, family is one reason. Been gone for so long. You left out of here at 18. I came back at 36, 40 now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just missing my mom and dad, my wife missing her mom and her grandmother. Wanting our kids to really be able to understand our backing. We had our kids on the road, for 14 years. They've been, a little bit everywhere, So it was just a great place to come home where you could kind of like really take a chill pill and be okay. You know, it's hard to take a chill pill to Miami or San Francisco or somewhere like that. You know, so we came on back home. There's nothing wrong with, you know, coming on in and moving back in with your parents and everything. So we did that for a little while, and you know, my kids said they wanted to start going to school, so now they're in the ninth. You know, I had always, you know, dealt with the youth while I was playing ball. So I have a youth program called Get Elite, you know, where, you know, 6 through 14, we go from down there in Florida to California to any of these battles or AYFs or any of them top things. You know, I done had the top teams for over years, and just watching these kids transform from, you know, little league and then going to play for my dad and then being able to go play for a university that I went to or a university that I played against, you know, it's always a great opportunity because a kid never get an opportunity to get from out of here if he don't choose some of them roads, you know. So just trying to use the body as a vehicle that we always does here in Ohio to create a different path for him. You know, the journey is always going to run out. We just don't know when it's going to run out. So just try to eat on it and try to put as much gas and fuel and oil as we can into that body to be able to, you know, go as far and long as it can. Everybody don't get to make 14 years. You know, everybody don't get to leave 3 years after college and different things like that. So I've been blessed. But just to watch my other fellow teammates, other fellow little brothers that came through this program, from the Marshawn Lattimores to the Frank Clarks to the Justin Hardys, you know, to seeing Lil Bakers and, you know, all these guys that, you know, we inspired, you know, to play this game by opening up doors and being able to keep opening up doors, you know, like just being able to be 2017, I played with three of my little homies, Justin Hardy, Marshawn, and Shane Wynn. And just to spend 3 years with them guys, you know, you look at them now, they on 8 and 9, or they both was in the same, so they on 8 and 9. One of those, you know, and they still just rocking and rolling. And I can hear them now say, "Man, things you say now, man, we going through it now." Like, you know what I'm saying? So just being able to be that filler on every level that I can. I got guys at the Ohio State, from Bryce West to Arvell Reese to Demond Witten, that's, you know, can be remarkable, you know, down the line. I think Arvell is probably one of the top guys on the defense this year. So being able to have one of the top linebackers coming out of Glenville right now, that's got all these different offers, you know, being able to have two twins that just went to California as top eighth graders and won the fastest man award, and all the things that go on, from Dante Whitner nephew, who's coming up now, that's going to be outstanding. So, you know, the pipeline doesn't stop, you know, to see my freshman girl that's going to regionals this year in track, you know, and, you know, taking up the things that we did here in Ohio. So it's just like, why not be in Cleveland?
Hear that,
Well,
Big
there you
Seth?
go.
Big Seth, you hear that?
I did hear it.
These Florida cats don't get it, Ted.
Well,
They
They
don't,
but
never
these
do. We
cats
run,
don't get it.
but the thing about it, we run by them every time we get a chance.
Ted, he's flexing Cleveland right now, but he's been down here for 30-something years. Like, he hasn't gone back. So
Wait a minute, I go back every once in a while.
I mean,
still
like,
got.
I lived on Green Road and Euclid like for 8 months. Do I get credit for that? I'm not claiming it.
You do. You do get credit. I studied on Green Road in Euclid. That's my home street. What you talking
That's where
about?
I was. Right there. I'd go right down the hill and
get the
down
Pizza
Euclid
Hut.
Boulevard. Right there.
Come on,
That's where I
man.
was
Hey,
for 8 months.
Hey, that's where my mom's bank was. My mom's bank was right there too. So
if you know, if you go up that hill, that first stop sign, you look left. That's my house.
That no way.
That's my childhood house. By the triangle.
Crazy.
You see the triangle? You come up Belvoir and Cliffview. That's
So
my
I
house
was
right
there. I did an
Oh, that's
internship
crazy.
with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I was in those apartments right there in the corner. I did an internship with the Cleveland Cavaliers in 1995. So that's how long ago that was.
Oh, you probably seen me playing.
Yeah, I probably could have, man. Crazy.
Oh, that's
I did get to see
crazy.
you play. Yeah, that's exactly where I was.
Welcome to the hood, baby.
That's right.
There it is. I'm a Cleveland guy now. I'm a Cleveland guy
You
now.
a Green Road guy, man. Oh, that's sweet.
There it is, right there.
Okay.
So, well, now it almost seems like I'm going to step into a pile of shit right here, Juice, because I'm going to transfer from Ohio back down to Miami. But I think it only makes sense, right, Ted? Because that's when clearly people knew who you were because of all of your success in college. But the way that South Florida was really introduced to you happened on draft day,
Sure.
right, in 2007. When you look back on that one, everybody in the world thought the Dolphins needed a quarterback. We're going to take a quarterback. I put myself in, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be something I'm not. I thought they needed to do that. Brady Quinn was the guy that everybody in the world thought the Dolphins were going to take, that they should take. And then the pick comes and the commissioner gets up there and the name is not Quinn, the name is Ginn.
Yeah.
And that's the name. And there's a funny story about that. The guy who, for the Dolphins, Craig Heil, who would write the names down on the card, he actually thought they said on the phone, Quinn. I think he just had Quinn in his mind too. And he had to double check. So there was a whole lot of things going on there. And then, of course, the pick happens. The draft party loses their mind. Cam Cameron goes out there. They're booing Cam Cameron. He's telling them to turn their thumbs this way. There was just a whole lot going on. He also announces that he didn't just draft Ted Ginn, he drafted the Ginn family. And there was a lot that went on that you had nothing to do with, other than, look, I did everything I could to position myself to live my dream. I get my name called, and then I'm walking into all of this. How much of that were you aware of when you got picked? Like, did you know all this mayhem was going on? And did you feel any of it when you got to South Florida?
Well, you can't not ignore the talks that you hear on draft day. I was supposed to go from 4th to 28th if you really look at it. So you really just sitting there and you wish, and I think that's why it was so great to be with your loved ones and your family, and I was with my community, and everybody that had played a part in me being this football player was there to see me go up or down, but the support was there. So I didn't really know what was going on. I just go off the conversations that you hear in that time. That team is coming up. You get your phone ready. You thinking that there's an opportunity, but you got to realize, well, there's 22 spots on this roster that somebody got to take. So. Just sitting there and just being able to enjoy it a certain type of way. I didn't want to go to the draft or anything like that because you just don't know where you're going to be. You know what I'm saying? So I was already set to be, comfortable. I think it was more just you don't know. You don't know what agents are talking about. You don't know what personal relationships are talking about. Like, you just really don't know what's going on. But as you went on into that deal, you start understanding who all played a role into why, you are selected in certain situations at certain times. And I was just grateful to have a great connection at that time. And that's all I can really say about it. The connection that was a hand in hand, I guess, type situation. I was grateful. Didn't nobody like it. I got booed. I got talked about. People looking at me when I come in the locker room, like, why we get him? He hurt already.
So you felt that in the locker room too, from your new teammates.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, they became my brothers as the game and the time went on. Once they started seeing what type of guy I was and how I act, and I didn't never really back down. I came in with my chest up high. I knew I was a talent. I knew I was good. I knew I could take care of certain situations that I could handle. You know what I'm saying? And I think I changed their mind quickly once they start seeing, on and off the field.
I'm gonna go a little bit off script right here because he said some really important things right there. Some things that we'll talk about a little bit. If Teddy doesn't get hurt in the national championship game, Seth, Ohio State wins the national championship. That's for sure. I mean, that's right. That's right at the beginning. He was already dynamic.
Since we're being transparent here, I'm also a Gator. All right, let me just put that.
We win the national title. Teddy doesn't get hurt.
Any respect I earned on Green Road, maybe
you might be off. Yeah, it's going. You were all right for a second there.
I just want to put it out there.
Now you out of Cleveland, man. You out of Cuyahoga County right now.
I was a little concerned when we returned the opening damn kickoff back for a touchdown. But that Gator team was pretty good too.
But
I just want to say that.
Yeah, but on top of that, though, Big Seth, what he said too that's really important is that, no matter what, coming in that locker room right away, man, you got a lot of dudes in there that, for one, don't know the hell you are. For two, we're high draft picks, and we'll talk about some of the draft pick situation here because Seth always gives me crap about high draft pick situation. But right away, man, you got to find a way to prove yourself. You got to show them that you're a hard worker, that you that dude, you're deserving and worthy of where you're being picked. But you got these older dudes, older cats in the locker room that ain't gonna show you love just by showing you love, man.
Yeah.
You got to earn that love, man, and that's always a tough situation. So being a top pick, and I'm so glad, Teddy. I'm so glad that you're on here because Seth gives me shit every time about being, first round draft pick for the Dolphins, but I wasn't a top 10 guy,
Yeah.
So we got a guy that's number 9. That thank you. I really, really appreciate you being there, man. And
I can't even bust your chops on it.
You can't say a word today, Big Seth, so you need to be quiet over there. So, but even the head man now, Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel, he's brought that up a lot of times in press conferences, about how the pressure of being a first round pick has been, and then for you have the same reaction on draft day. I had the same reaction on draft day. Maybe Seth might have liked the fact that they picked me, but they had Duper and Clayton, then they brought in Mark Ingram and Urban Fryer, so they were like, I kind of had the same reaction from all these people, fans, that didn't want me as the pick because they were looking for somebody else. And that's how it always is, man. It really is how it always is. And so I was cool with the fact that I had to come in here and earn that spot and earn that respect, man. So for me though, I wanted to play for Cleveland. I wanted to go home and play. Or I wanted to go play for Philadelphia or Pittsburgh because I played at Penn State. But then I wanted Warm, and you got Warm too, dog. So you got to think that Warm was always something that if I'm gonna play wide receiver, at least let me play for a Warm State team.
For sure. I'd enjoy that. It wasn't warm; it was hot.
Hot.
it ain't no warm. It was hot, and that's the first time when I started realizing that I was equivalent as a lineman. Because I was losing so much weight,
right?
But I wasn't getting the weight back. You know what I'm saying? And just to see how Miami really, fluctuate with me with that. Being really almost 165, 170 for real, but playing this game, and nowadays they don't even let kids. And you got a lot of 165s, but you don't really make it that far no more. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't sustain the game. All the wear and tear that goes on with all these much bigger, faster, and stronger hitting people.
Right.
It was more raw talent back in the day. Now it's great, accurate talent. And guys know how to come down here and really hit you in certain spots, and they showing you how to really tackle and different things like that. But just coming in and just coming with all that adversity, it goes on and off the field. So I had adversity with being a first round draft pick, and I was on offense, and I had Jason Taylor to say, "Hey man, we ain't getting no first round draft pick, so you with me too." You get what I'm saying? And having to deal with both sides of that, and at that time you still had core guys. You get what I'm saying? That there was all special teams guys, so you got an OG there. That I was a returner. Like, hey man, you got to do this. So being able to balance and get food and do media and showcase yourself, is a big deal. And I think I handled all that with respect and honor, and that just come back from my neighborhood, come back from my upbringing, being a coach's son, understanding that you're playing for your seniors, understanding that one day you're gonna be a senior, like the whole 9 yards of how that go. That's just how it is when you walk in as a freshman. That's how it is when you walk in as a rookie. It's a fraternity that you're walking into. You should be able to handle it with no problems and walk home, because if not, then, they can't deal with you like they used to deal with us back in the day. So, it was all great and fun, and I enjoyed it, and, but it ain't going to always be what you wanted it to be.
Right. Ted, who'd you lean on back in the day for that, man? You know what I mean? It's like, realize you come in there kind of by yourself, but, you mentioned Chris Chambers. I know he's part of a locker room. I know that Terry Rubisky was a wide receivers coach. Who'd you lean on? I know you already knew Cameron. Who'd you lean on in that situation? Because it's a whole new thing for us right there.
We gotta realize, I met Terry Rubisky off a phone call. I dropped a pass at Ohio State, and Lil Brian brought me the phone and said, "My dad want to talk to you." And I picked up the phone. He said, "Motherfucker, you drop another motherfucking ball. This Terry." At the phone, like, man, who this? Like, you know
Oh,
what I'm
nice to meet
saying?
you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And I'm like, man, what's up with your dad? He's like, he the Browns coach. And then that's what was like a different, like, okay. But my room was great. Santana Moss, uh, Marty Booker, and Chris Chambers. You gotta realize Chris Chambers was taking care of me since I was a kid. He played for my father. He ended up leaving as a sophomore, going to Bedford. I chased all his records in high school as a hurdler. You know what I'm saying? He went off to Big Ten. I tried to go Big Ten. I did. I went to Ohio State, and we both ended up going to Miami and having a great time. And just seeing how, just the age difference and, the time. And, I hate to say it, but I was the guy that was coming in to push him out. And sometimes it's lucky that you can respect that guy in a certain way, you know what I'm saying, but he's still taking some money out of my pocket. You get what I'm saying? And not saying that he never looked back or shied away or did nothing. He was always Chris Chambers, the big brother, who always looked out for me and always gave me away, But outside of my room and my coach in my room, I had Joey Porter, Channing Crowder, uh, YB Bell,
YB.
Cleo Lemon, you know what I'm saying? Ricky Williams, Ronnie Brown, Mike Will, uh, Vernon Carey, Jason Taylor, Zach Thomas, you know what I'm saying?
Damn, those some
Uh,
names right there,
like,
man.
I know it, man.
just once they could see that I was putting in the work, you know, uh, a lot of guys kind of dick around off the field. You know what I'm saying? And then when it's time to go on the field, they don't really put that real true work in. I just think that them guys felt like I was a warrior. No matter how big I was, I had a big heart, and I was always there for them, no matter what, like on the field or off the field. That's what I was just taught. That's what your hood teach you. That's what my father taught me. That's just what Ohio taught me. Cleveland, especially.
That's how we're built on Green Road, Juice. That's how we're built on Green
For
Road.
sure, that's how we built on Green Road. But
Look at me claiming 8 months of Green Road. I'm
that's
claiming it.
sweet though. My friends gonna love that, man. You just
Oh
don't know.
man. Oh, it's too
But
good.
there was my guys, man, and I think, man, we built something. I'll never forget my first uh, road game, and I had dodged them for a while. Not paying a bill, so I had dodged them for a while. So we had played. Rest in peace, Sean. But we had played in DC my first game. I think we lost 9-10 that game, and but just to see how you move, you know what I'm saying, on an away game. When I got there, they said, "You with me?" And that time I was waiting for him. I was like, all right. But I wasn't waiting for him, but I was ready for him. You know what I'm saying? We went to steakhouse, and that's when I really seen how they get the private room, and like you enjoy yourself. You have your time. You know, they tested me that day, had me in front of the class, in front of the team room. I'm just as not where I supposed to be right now as my first game. You know what I'm saying? And then to see me the next day showed that, I'm about my business. I ain't getting in no trouble. I'm ready. I'm on time. I'm ready to play. I try my hardest to win as a football game. But after that, it's just uh, turned over and over, and every day it was just more and more involvement. And back in the day, you just didn't really have. Our third round got cut. Our fourth round got cut. Our fifth round got cut. Like it was hard to stick around, no matter if you was a draft pick or not. You know what I'm saying. So you had to really, be somebody in a lot of different ways around that place.
So you said something that I want to make sure I heard it correctly. And you probably saw it from my email, my day job, Jason Taylor signs my paychecks, right? Run the Jason Taylor Foundation. Did you say that JT said we didn't get a rookie in the D-line room, so you're our rookie too? You're not only the wideouts.
Like, no, we ain't
That's
getting
some
no first
JT
round.
shit right there.
Right, we ain't getting no first rounder.
We ain't getting no first rounder. So I don't think that you just over there with them like you and me. And then this is where I give credit to my wife is because, on away games, then we became who we are today, a couple. You got to go get this Popeyes. Come to the facility or meet me and this is where we drive to the airport at this point. You get what I'm saying?
So she was helping you get the stuff that all the guys would.
I had 2 different orders of 20 guys. I got a receiver room of 6, a running back room of 8, an O-line room, and then I got a whole D-line room.
And they're hungry as hell.
And then you got the hell of Channing Crowder always be Channing Crowder.
Right.
So he coming to take whatever he wants. So you might as well just throw something in there for him. So if he takes somebody else's meal, you got another meal for that guy. Like, it's just what it was. It was pure fuckery. It was made to fuck you over.
Right.
And somewhere down the line, if you don't know how to mix and match certain things and do certain things, then you'll lose. And I won in that because I was kind of taught that coming up.
Right. That's the key right there, man. Just do it.
Just do it.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Just do it. You know what I mean? It's only 1 year. Just do it and get it out the fucking way.
And you get it back.
Get it back. You're going to pay
get it back.
Damn right.
Somewhere down the line, you go get it back, man. I got it back before. After that, 13 years.
13 years, you got it back.
You got it back. Get them seeds, man. Get that dip, man. Go get me a water. Just you get it back if you really do it in genuine. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't genuine with it, then you'll get it back. I mean, I watch a guy be an asshole about it, and they took his car, they took his keys, like he couldn't get around, couldn't find his playbook, like he almost, like had to really come out and be like, hey man, get his stuff back to him, and that didn't work. You know what I'm saying?
I once knew a guy who got taped up and thrown in the cold tub because he didn't want to play that stuff.
Well, right, I mean, I played some of it.
That was still going around with me. You get what I'm saying? I wasn't doing that. I had already put out there I can't swim, so I'm not doing that. Don't play with no. I'm telling you, I got my rookie mini cap. I got in a fight with the team because I wasn't paying a bill, and Channing Crowder threw me in the pool, and I jumped out, and the first person I caught laughing, I swung on. They kicked us out to Cleveland.
That pool.
Great spot right
I'm
there,
thinking it's at the facility. It was.
Everybody go.
You didn't want to be in that water. Too good.
Don't put me in that water, man.
That's too good.
And I begged Crowder, man. You had me in one of these. So I'm begging him, like, come on, man, I can't swim. I got on a good outfit.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Teddy, we going to Cleveland there probably on a Sunday. It was about it.
Yeah.
We was there to impress.
To impress. That's how it was.
And then you want to do that? Come on,
yeah,
man.
Come on, man.
It's fight time then. And that's what you had to do, though. You had to develop a little street cred in that locker room, man, for sure.
And somewhere down the line,
Cleveland, we don't fuck around like that.
Man, and after that go with you in a lot of different ways. Yeah, they're my brothers. Yeah, nobody looked at nobody different after that. But I stood on my business. They stood on their business. You gonna pay this bill? I ain't paying it. When you going in this water, and that's what it was.
I'm gonna tell you what, Seth. Big Seth, this is how you get cred in the locker room, though, man. You know what I mean? You'll do all the stuff you ask. He did all the other stuff they asked him to do.
Right.
He's buying food for 5 different meeting rooms.
Popeyes had the missus over there helping him take orders.
At some point, I got to be like, yo, enough is enough.
You got to draw the line. All right, you got to draw the line. I get it. All right, so we're going to fast forward to that's the fun stuff. Unfortunately, what wasn't fun your rookie season was the damn season. It was a 1-15 year, historically bad, right? And in fact, that one didn't come until mid-December. So, I know what it was like having to work with JT on that side of it. Thankfully, I wasn't working for the team at that point because I just can't even imagine what it was like to walk in the facility every day. But my question is, in some strange way, did the disaster of a season take any pressure off of all of the draft day nonsense? Because there was so much bad going around that people, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't about let's harp on who was or wasn't our first round pick, because everything, the whole dumpster's on fire. And so I guess I'm wondering if that took any pressure off. And by no means am I saying losing was a good thing. I'm just saying, did it kind of diminish some of the noise surrounding the draft issue? And then the second thing I want to know is, for guys who come up through really successful programs, and both of you have lived that life, and especially at Ohio State, I don't know, you lost one game all year, your junior year, to the Florida Gators, but you lost one game all year that year. I think you lost maybe two games the year before. There wasn't a whole lot of losing in your football experience up until you got to Miami, and then they made up for it in droves. So I just wonder how that weighs on a guy that's trying to make his way in the league and you're experiencing something that you are just completely unfamiliar with.
Well, I would say, I mean, it's just two things that goes with that. I think I will answer the second question first, and I would just say, just coming back, it just taught me. It taught me how to lose. Like it taught me how to lose, and when I say that, it's like, what do I have to do to win? So I really don't really get into like the off the field issues or the off the field deal. Like it just really taught me how to go in and just analyze myself a little bit more. But as I analyze myself a little bit more, I see more flaws within this person, that person, and what was really going on. And I just think at that time, through the whole mix of what was going on, we just didn't have the right bodies in the right places. And I just say all the way around, as coaches, players, staff, GMs, the whole 9 yards. But as we went on that year, we gelled so much and we came together so much in that locker room through understanding that, we wasn't getting beat by like 14 or 15 and like that. We were just losing by like three at the most. But we really didn't lose no game no more than 6 points. Like, you get what I'm saying? So it wasn't that we knew that we was good, but we just knew that it was certain things that we just wasn't finishing. You know what I'm saying? And you could kind of see that throughout the week as I got older in the game. I could see what we was going through as a rookie. We just wasn't finishing, and we was just trying to rely on certain guys that you needed to give this guy that, or give that guy that, or let that guy blitz, or what I'm saying, whatever it may
Right.
be, to change up what we had going on. But I think we jailed because, as you seen, we came out the next year, and I hate to go to that, but that's just the realness. Like, we jailed so much that, off the field, that summer, guys was at the house. It was a brotherhood, and just seeing how that camaraderie went, it kind of went on our team. You get what I'm saying? It kind of moved from the summer of, a new coaching staff, starting early in Miami is great. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody come.
Yeah.
It's Miami. You get what I'm saying? So there's just the attendance and like the whole 9 yards, and we had a whole different mindset of, well, we gotta win. We know what losing feel like we gotta win. And I think a lot of selfishness went out of the team our next year in '08. You
It
know
was
what
a
I'm saying?
historic turnaround,
Yeah,
actually. Yeah, you're right. I mean, what, they 11-5, go from
for
one and
sure.
15 to 11-5. I mean,
Right.
that's unheard of.
I think that's where everybody was in the right spot. You know what I'm saying? Your leaders was leading. The staff underneath overhead was listening into the locker room. We wasn't making it an issue of we was in Miami, and everybody go out and kick it. And y'all from Miami, take you an hour to get from where we was at. It took us an hour to get down there. Who gonna do that every day?
Right.
Like, you get what I'm saying? So, just took all the bull stuff out.
You can say
And just,
bullshit.
took all the bullshit out. You know
You
what I'm
already
saying?
told us what Terry Trubisky said on the phone.
Yeah. Take all that out and put the right guys at the right places. And we got some guys coming in, especially in the receiver room. I mean, you had Greg, you had Bess, you had all these guys that really just came in and played their part. And we was good at what we was good at. And Chad came in, he slung it around. Um, we got Long over there, so all my brothers from Michigan, but we joined forces. You know how we go: Detroit, Cleveland, Detroit, Ohio come together. And we took care of business. And I think you just had a lot of hungry guys that knew how to win. That was young. You know what I'm saying? I think that's where that never losing a game, because you got to realize Chad just came from playing 1 or 2 versus us at Ohio State. You know what I'm saying? Playing 2 of the greatest teams that he can see. You know what I'm saying? So when we came down here, you had all champions. You got Ronnie Brown was a champion. You had Ricky Williams. He was rusty by that first year. That second year, you wouldn't even know he was in year 14 or 13, whatever he was in. Everybody was able to control their room and have fun.
I'm gonna go back a little bit because I like to talk about when I was drafted, because Seth always wants to bring it up anyways. But when I was drafted, I was given the opportunity to develop as a wide receiver because I had some vets that, like Irvin Fryer, we talked a little bit about Mark Ingram, and I think even Keith Jackson, he was a tight end, but he ran routes like a wide receiver. So my focus really my rookie season was on the return game, being a part of the return game. And it wasn't until the first time I took one to the house that I felt like, man, I've made it. I've made this team. They're accepting me. I'm a contributor. But clearly, you made a huge impression and a huge impact on special teams, like throughout your career. But more importantly, like that role as a returner that first year. I mean, my goodness, man, that had to be a way for the guys on the team to say, "Yo, this dude right here is, yeah, we draft him as a wide receiver, but his return game is ridiculous." Seth already talked about how he took that kickoff back against his Gators, in the national championship game. But how important was that? You talked about how you had guys on special teams that were saying, "Yo, we need you to be you for us." You got 8, 7, 8, 9 year vets on there that
And got to
all
stick
they
around.
do is teams.
All they
And
do
so
is
we
teams.
yeah, exactly right. Talk about your special team game.
I mean, I think that's what I leaned on that first year too. I got a lot of stuff called back my first year. I was up there.
Yes, you did.
You
You
know what I'm
did.
saying? I mean, I was popping them just like Hester was popping them his first year. You know what I'm saying? We was popping them, but I was just get a holding call here, you get a blocking them back here, little stuff like that that really didn't give me the impact, but I still had the impact. But I just think that when you had that core of 6 guys at that time, and like you said, they're year 4 or they're year 8, and this can make or break them. You know what I'm saying? So every time you get it, if we getting 12 yards, that's a first down on punt return. That's all they ask for. You know what I'm saying? If you getting another 10 yards after you getting your 20, you know what I'm saying, on kickoff return, you averaging 30 yards. You get what I'm saying? They loving that. So once those 6 guys really realized that this is really our first play of offense, no matter how they look at it, just our first play of offense. And that became like the model. Like, all right, well, Ted not, you got Chris Chambers that year, you got Marty Booker. So, I'm getting in once they like exhausted in a sense. You get what I'm saying? Before the 7th week where they sent Chris away. But it's just like, all right, this the only time I get to touch it. This my only time I'm touching it. So I feel just like the 6 core guys. So let's go to work. You get what I'm saying? And once, Cam had played against me in Indiana and different things like that, and seeing me coming up, he knew like we could just pull the ball first. He strike our offense. So, 9 times out of 10, I get a punt return. They try to come back and give me a reverse or a bomb or, something like that. Just because it was like I was like the team in a sense. Like everybody wanted to see me grow in a way. You know what I'm saying? And this was a way for me to be able to hold that position so I can be a receiver down the line. You know what I'm saying? I knew that, coming in, I was going to have to grow because I didn't really have the receiver background behind me. That's why I loved the Terry Robisky when I got him. You get what I'm saying? Because he really knew how to talk to me, to depend on when I got Daryl. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just literally didn't really talk to me like that. He just wanted to just see me run. And that was like the craziest thing ever. Just run. Like, you get what I'm saying? And then they start saying that I was too fast for the quarterback. So they start putting me down. Like, well, if I could get 40 yards in a catch, I'd take that, but I can't take that. He just outrun the guy and he throw it 10 yards behind him. So, different things start happening to where that's the only thing I can do was a punt return or kickoff.
Right. And that return game, it's truly special. I mean, Seth, I remember a couple of times, and I'm gonna go back and we're gonna talk a little bit about it, man. But we talk about the return game. I know that at some point, like the wide receiver role had diminished, but I love the fact that, and I never heard this till you just said that your return's like the first play of offense. That's the first time I've heard something like that, man, and that makes so much sense because especially when you got somebody, when you got somebody as dynamic as you, field position's everything. If you take it to the house or you get me out to the 40 on a kickoff return, or if you get me to midfield on a punt return, that's winning football right there.
At least we get a field goal.
Correct. That's correct. So, but I want to go back. I want to go back a little bit to November 1st, 2009. And Seth and I'll tell you what, I think I was on South Beach watching this game.
Of course, a good chance.
My old ass on South Beach. But you're in the Meadowlands, November 1st, 2009, and you not only returned one kickoff for a touchdown, but you returned two kickoffs for a touchdown, both 100-plus yards. Basically won the game by yourself in the third quarter, and this is groundbreaking. Tell us what you remember about that game against the stinking Jets. If I'm not mistaken.
They benched me.
But yeah, exactly right. That's what I was thinking. You lost your starting position, and you
benched me.
Showed them. Yep.
Played Indiana. We played the Coast the week before on Monday night. I was sick. I had like 103, 104 fever. So I probably wasn't about to play Monday night. I ain't walking into the game when we play 7:30, I want to say. 8 o'clock might be, but I want to say it's a 7:30 kickoff. Something like that. I walked in the building like 7:30. People, they had already warmed up. I might have came in on national anthem or something. Got an IV, and I went out there. I had 10 catches for 105 yards. But remember, I had the two crucial drops in the back of the end zone. They benched me. Said that they had somebody else that could do it. They was giving everybody else in the room an opportunity to go out there. So we go to the Jets. I remember coming home telling my dad, like, man, I ain't going to play this week on offense. They're going to bench me. Woo, woo. He told me to control what I could control. And this one I love Joey Porter. Joey Porter was behind me up. Like, that's my big bro. Couldn't believe it. Like, ain't going to bench you. Da-da-da-da. And that's when them 6 core guys come into play. And we went to work. And got the first one, made a little move, went on down, and I was hot. I'm like, and that's where, like, everybody knew, like, our defense was stout. You get what I'm saying? So somehow, some way, I think Brad Smith did some crazy something. He did like a crazy from quarterback something and got out of there and scored that, made it kick it right back off. Like, it was like a play that shouldn't have happened. Big play. And I get it back, and I just had that same adrenaline, and boom, I pop, and they ended up giving me the game ball that day in the locker room.
Well, that second one was, the first one, yeah, I understand what you're saying. That second one, though, you made some people miss. and then you was out the gate.
Yeah, you know, I mean,
once you get out the gate, it's over for Muggs with you.
I just think through the man upstairs, he knew that, you know, I was fighting some adversity against the coach. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, just to come back out, just to show him that it's ups and downs in this game, and just don't give up on the talent. You know, the talent gonna make it do what it do, baby.
Right, that's right.
There it is. So another fun part of that is the and I don't know that you'll have context for this, but the special teams coach for the Jets at that time was a guy by the name of Mike Westhoff, who had been the special teams coach here for the Dolphins for a long time, who was Juice's special teams coach when he was returning punts and kicks. And Mike is a very proud guy. And
I got Mike in New Orleans.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Right before his demise.
Oh, no. Did he talk to you at all about that moment? Did you guys discuss it?
He came down. He said, "I'm so," you know, he talks so like under his breath, but it ain't under his breath. Yeah, I had a long day with you. you the only person that gave me a headache for 2 weeks.
Oh, I love it.
He was like, I couldn't believe it. I told him to kick away from you, and it was Jay Feely, Michigan.
Oh man, all kinds of Dolphin connections, and Izzo was on there covering all our guys.
Yeah, yeah. But and to be real, like I should have had 4 that time. I should have had 4. Jay Feely tackled me. If you go back and look at Jay Feely, tackled me on 2 of them.
Ooh,
man, don't let him know that.
You know that's a no right there.
Don't let him know.
But it was like, you know,
he had his gloves on though.
Yeah, yeah. But Jay Feely was my guy, man.
Jay's great. Too good. All right. So following that season, we get to April, and the Dolphins trade you to San Francisco. So just in 3 years, you go from the euphoria of being with your family on draft day, being the 9th overall pick in the draft, to 3 years later being told by your employer that they're making a change. And so I wonder what that, you know, was there a sense of relief? Was it a sense of like, I have unfinished business and I need to prove people wrong? I just kind of wonder what was going through your mind at that time, because you don't see that often with a first round draft pick. And then, of course, then the word, right? The word that none of us wanted, the word bust starts to come into play. And, you know, people, it's so easy to just throw that out without thinking about the human being who spent his whole life to get to a particular point. And as you said, like, yo, the talent is there. Look at these things I have accomplished. And we're going to talk about it. The things you accomplished after you left Miami. I mean, a 14-year career. Let's put that word bust back somewhere else, because it doesn't belong here. But what's going through Ted Ginn's mind in that moment where just 3 years into this thing, you're now changing your colors?
I mean, it just starts to hit a real true game. Yeah, I mean, I from that, like, I was in a dealership buying a car. It was my birthday. I get a phone call that I'm getting traded. It wasn't from my agent. It wasn't from the Miami Dolphins. You know what I'm saying? And then when I really do call in, it's like, oh, yeah, you're on the market. They thinking about it. To the next phone call is you're going to San Francisco. So you go from the bottom of the map to the top of the map. You know what I'm saying, man? You know, I didn't really know how to think. You know, I'm just, at that time, a 21-year-old or 23-year-old man, you know, still having an opportunity. I really think once I got out there and just went into that brotherhood, you know, we all was in the same boat. We was all looking at each other like, man, I played against you in college. It's 3 years later, and I played against you when I was a sophomore, and I had you when I was a freshman, and you sweet as hell. What are all these sweet people doing out here? You get what I'm saying? So we went out there and we went through our ups and downs, you know, that first year with San Francisco. And then you see what happened the next 2 years. You know, that talent started working. It started doing what it do, baby. You know what I'm saying? And Harbaugh came in. He had a different approach. You know, he kind of, you know, believed in what he had seen from the players that he had in his room. I remember him going around and putting our rankings up from high school, you know, and when you start going around, you had so many 3 and 4 star guys, but was number one guys in the NFL. You had so many guys that was 5 stars that was, like roles have reversed,
Mm-hmm.
you
Wow.
know,
Mm-hmm.
and but it gave people different perspective of person. Like, you here, but you was like this in college, and you was here, but you ain't one over there. So it was like the competitiveness out there just went berserk, and then you seen what he created. He created one of the best defenses that I think San Francisco had at one point in time or ever had, with Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis and Deshaun Ghostin and Dante Whitner, and T. Brown and Carlos Rogers, and then you could put that D line they had 4 or 5 or 6 guys from Cowboy to um, Brooks. Like, it was just all then, like, it was just crazy, and then we went on the offensive side. We had me, Randy Moss, Mario Manningham, Crabtree, Kyle Williams. Like, you just had all good guys that was great hearted, knew how to play football, and knew who we were at that particular time that, you know, we wish we had with the Dolphins.
Right.
But we had one year and you seen it, but then they came in and exploited it in every way they could. And I think it happens like that a lot when it's not a quarterback base. We still having, that ups and down with Alex and Cap, so, guys get to, do I want to be here? I want to go back through this and different things like that. But uh, it's just the camaraderie when the guys can look in the room and see that you got your real dogs with you, or you really got somebody that can really play. You just don't want to just be that sucker no more. Like, you don't want to be that guy that just can't line up at the plate, and I'm not going to be able to hit not one ball. I can't hit a strike. I can't hit a curve. I can't hit nothing. Like, I'm going to try to hit one, and I hope he better stay away from this curve because I'm knocking this out of the park. And that's who we all were in different parts of our time.
Yeah, man. And Seth, I'm so glad we're talking about this, man, because it drives me nuts, bro. It really does, man, because I know the Dolphins gave up on Ted Ginn Jr. way too soon, in my opinion, man.
And I still wasn't able to grow as a receiver yet.
Right. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this, Ted, because I tell Seth this all the time. And it's hard for him to believe it, but I didn't know shit about receiver until Robert Ford came as my wide receiver coach. And I was already 5 years in the league. You know what I mean? And at the same time, they throw these words around like my best friend is Kijana Carter. You know what I mean? He's had some terrible injuries, but they always want to say that he was a bust or whatever it might be. You know what I mean? But they don't give shit about the person, man. And that's one thing that, that drives me crazy, man.
And it's worse now.
Yeah.
It's like the receiver game right now is the worst game right now.
Right.
It's tough because the special teams is already out. They're not kicking, so you don't have an opportunity to showcase who you are nowhere else. And that what really gave me the opportunity when I got to Carolina. As we fast forward a little bit, but as I got to Carolina, that's what Ricky Prohl did for me. Ricky Prohl said, I know you can do punt return and kickoff return, but what are you gonna do in this receiver room? Now I got my challenge.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
6 years into your career, 7 years into your career.
7 years into my career.
Wow.
Now I got my challenge where I could look around the room and see that we had Steve Smith and Brandon LaFell was our, 1 and 2, you know what I'm saying? And 3 was just up in the air. And 3 was based off of, who can do what the best. You get what I'm saying? And once I started understanding that I could get into that 3 spot, and that's what gave me my opportunity to go to Arizona, which I should have never went. But that would gave my opportunity to say, okay, you're a receiver now, and when you got guys like Steve Smith telling you, like, boy, you do this like this good, and you do this like that, and you always looking at him, and then now you start seeing he looking at you, you start feeling a little bit more better about yourself, even though I did everything in my ability to be a receiver. I mean, Terry Robisky was great. I didn't really like Durrell, but I went back and got Jerry Sullivan. And one thing that I started understanding about Jerry Sullivan is he would never let us use a ball. I was just like, man, why we can't use a football for the first 20 minutes or 30 minutes? And it was all about, you know, movement and, learning distance and learning how to keep your eyes up and feeling your steps and learning how to cut stuff off here. And all that stuff started coming into play once I got down there in that South in North Carolina where, I could put all them different people together on top of Ricky Prohl having his attributes of how he wanted me to be, but then having that, oh, you could do it, you got it, like, you know what I'm saying? And you got a young Cam out there that, in love with who I was as a football player. He went as a football player in college, I didn't really have nothing to sustain on in the league, but in college it's like still to this day I'm NCAA king. Like you ain't got too many people. I mean now it's a little different because they choosing to rate all these kids 99. But back in the day, you didn't really have no 99 at defense.
Ted, hell, man, we all know that. I mean, your career here in Miami, it was just a fraction of what you ended up doing in the league, man. We've talked a lot about it, man, but think about it: 14 years in the league, 14 years, man. And by the way, I mean, you finished your career, I think, ranked 11th in the league history with almost 9,500 yards, return yards, 11th all time. That's crazy. You also had a 10 touchdown season in 2015,
Mm-hmm.
helping Cam, you talk about Cam, win the MVP that year, and also getting you guys to the Super Bowl. And in fact, I mean, you played in a total of 4 conference championship games, 2 Super Bowls. I mean, man, you had a hell of a career, man, but yet you're so humble about it. You're so humble about it. I'm here to talk shit about your career. I'm gonna do it for you, all right?
Talk that shit.
Do you
Juice.
ever look back at your career? It's like, shit, man, I did the damn thing.
I did. I think that's why I'm so humble now. Like one of my daughter's fathers, that's a coach, walked up on me at the track meet. He like, man, you just don't know who you are. And I was like, I do. But right now, who I am ain't for this right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm here just to be a dad. I want my daughter to enjoy this whole thing, the whole 9 yards. I want her to come and ask me questions. I want her to come and tell me stuff. I don't want to be the guy that I got all the information, I got all the stuff, because it takes for what we create and how to build her as a player and as a grind. So I just don't never want nobody to get caught up in my success because it won't be their success. So I don't try to brag a lot. Right now, I'm trying to compete with my kids on make sure I get my degree before they get mine, before they get theirs. You get what I'm saying? Because of that big, long, extensive uh, NFL and career that I have, it's just other little things that you know, that I'm reaching for. So I think that I did it all. Uh, I was number one in football and track coming out of high school. Uh, I was number one in kickoff return, punt returner. Uh, I could take the top 5 coming out of college, because I commend them guys that came out with me. If you look at them right now, they're greats. You know what I'm saying? Calvin Johnson, Dwayne Bowe, Sidney Rice. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got a lot of different guys that came out of my class that, I'm commended just to be one of them. You know what I'm saying? And then, like you say, I did 14 years, and there's only a handful or a host of guys that can really say, as a receiver that played 14 years and not be the number one guy.
Mm.
Like,
That's
you
a
know what I'm
great
saying?
point.
Not be the number one guy, uh, but be the number one guy off the field or in the locker room. I mean,
Right, right.
I could take that. I was always just willing to just make everybody happy, even the ones that you think that you might not talk to. I used to go talk to them, bring them over, invite them for something to eat. I mean, I know guys right now. It's crazy. I just got on the phone with T. Lee, and he's a Florida guy. And T. Lee was just like, man, from day one, man, you just been who you always been. Like, you know what I'm saying? He was like, I would just call her to talk some shit to your short, tall ass. You know what I'm saying?
Short, tall ass.
Yeah, that's because he always say, man, you really supposed to be me, not supposed to be you. You know what I'm saying?
That's
and
too funny.
and and he's a great athlete. Like, you know what I'm saying? We did everything together, and it's just those moments is what you cherish for the rest of your life. And I think I got that where I could call anybody right now, and can nobody be like, oh, I don't want to talk to Teddy, or who Teddy did this or Teddy did that. Like, I don't want that to be who I am. I just be genuine, special, and he always been who he is.
Teddy, you don't get 14 years in the league, man, without being, for one, talented for sure, but also being a good locker room guy, man. You know what I mean? And it's just it resonates, bro. And not only that, when you were a good guy in the locker room, talented guy, you make big plays for teams over and over. I'm gonna tell you, I'll be honest with you, man. I was tired of seeing you making big plays for other teams, man, other than mine and Orange, man. All
I
I kept
know,
seeing
man.
was your ass running down the field making plays still, man. And I said, God dang it. You know what I
And
mean?
and that go, and like I always really say, like, that New Orleans step, man, was a great step for me, to get recognized for who I was supposed to get recognized for. CJ, Coach Johnson, Tiger, down there in New Orleans at the time, and Sean Payton. But I just commend a guy like Drew Brees. I would say didn't really have to take me under his wing, you know what I'm saying, but just believed in me, and believed in what I had, and believed in my leadership, and believed in letting me control my room. Everybody used to always have a Mike Thomas this and Mike Thomas that, and Mike T was my boy. You know what I'm saying? And whenever we really had to get it down, man, we got it down, and it was not in a way where it had to be physical or nothing like that. But just being able to just give me who I was in New Orleans, I showed that to him every chance I got, because I never wanted to leave Carolina, but your time be up. You know what I'm saying? And for somebody to want you, Sean Payton wanted me at 31, 32 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah, I still want Teddy. Teddy, yeah, yeah. And then when I get there, he said, yeah, you've been fucking me up for the
Right.
last 3 years.
Right.
Why wouldn't I want to get you? As long as you
That's
come
funny.
over here and do what you do, we gonna be all right. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You see when I did. I respect that whole organization at that time. And it's gonna always be like that. My father from New Orleans. My whole family from Louisiana. So, I've always been down that way. But to be able to go play for them, man, they gave me a nice everywhere did. I remember when we played New Orleans on Monday night up there in Miami when I got dropped the pass, and Sharp went to the house. And my New Orleans family came down. I know they told me when they walked in. They said, "Sorry, baby, for losing, but
Man.
we gonna party."
Right.
And that's what I realized. Like, man,
That's what you
I
needed to
can't,
hear.
I can't take that. I can't. It's hard to take all this stuff serious because it's an enjoyment for everybody. You know what I'm saying? My family was able to come down, even though I took a loss. They still got enjoyment out of it, and I think that's what this game is all about: is showing the joy.
Well, you've been showing it all podcast interview
Hell
long here.
yeah,
This has
man.
been great
So
stuff,
good,
man. And
man.
we're not going to take up too much more of your time,
Oh,
but you did
good.
say you have time. So we end every podcast episode the same way. It's our fish tank 2-minute drill. I
Okay.
know, Juice, Ted is kind of like I don't need 2 minutes. Let me just take
Right.
the
Give me
top
one
off of
play.
this
I'm one and
thing.
done. Yeah. Give me
One and
just one
done.
and done.
But
Yeah.
maybe do a little ball control. Let's milk the clock a little bit. No, we're going to put 2 minutes on the clock. We've got some fun, relatively fast-paced questions for you. Just have a little fun before we let you get out of here. Is that
No
cool?
doubt. No doubt. Let's do it.
Are you
All right,
ready?
Juice.
All right. Your speed is legendary, and we established that you were a track phenom in high school. But the word on the street is that you once raced Usain Bolt. Can you confirm this and then let us know how it played out?
2004 Penn Relays 4x1.
So it's for real. You raced Usain Bolt. Who won?
So 4x1. What leg? What leg?
4x1, right? So
4x1. I 4x1 beat him. Jamari O'Neal was the anchor. Fuqua was the second. Was the third leg. I was the second leg. And Freddie Lennox was the first leg.
I mean, that's the real deal.
Skirts.
That
Seth,
is the real.
Real quick, Seth. I want to ask you this too because
So we got to call a timeout.
You're
calling a timeout.
Ask you this too.
You got one first down and you're calling a timeout.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you this real quick because when I played with Irvin Fryer was running 4.3 when he came in the league, and then he was running at 35. He was running 4.40. And I said, somebody said to him, said, Irv, you lost a step. He said, well, I had a step to lose. You know what I mean?
For sure.
You never had that experience, right? You seem like you were running your 4.2 the whole time.
Yeah. I said that in a podcast the other day with Tress and Coach Hazel. And I said probably after my stint in San Francisco, I had a knee injury. Probably slowed down a notch. And my Coach Hazel looked at me and said, no, I don't think so, sir. I don't think so. Right now, I'm still getting out there, man. I got my babies. I ain't really touched her yet, but I'm gonna give her. I gotta go warm up a little bit before I go test her.
Yeah, don't get those hands to the sniper. Don't let the sniper get you.
Right.
They almost got me.
Got it. Okay, next question. Speaking of racing, there's a story that you were approached by former Titans running back Chris Johnson, who was also a burner, at a party in Miami Beach, and your boy Joey Porter and Ocho were there, and they started hyping up things, and there was supposed to be this race that never happened. If that race did happen between you and Chris Johnson, who finishes first?
I finished first.
There it is.
He didn't really want to run 100 yards.
He wanted to just 40. Do a
40.
That's what he wanted, 40.
You get him on that back end.
It's kind of like what's going on with Tyreek right now, right? Because they want to run different races, you know what I mean?
Let's open this thing up. Too good. All right, clock is running, Juice.
All right, you got it. All right, so you caught passes from, we talked about Cleo Lemon, Chad Pennington, Chad Henne in Miami, and then Alex Smith at Cam Newton and Drew Brees once you left here. Cam Newton recently said that you were his favorite receiver that he ever played with. Who was your favorite quarterback, though?
Athlete-wise, Cam Newton.
Mm-hmm. Brain-wise?
Brain-wise, Drew Brees.
Talent-wise, overall, then?
Cleo Lemon.
Oh, I love
Cleo
it.
Get some love. Cleo's going to love that. Cleo's going to love that.
Cleo, my God, man.
Man, we love Cleo.
We had him on the podcast. He was great.
So much fun. All right, final question. You participated in Super Bowls 47 and Super Bowl 50. Unfortunately, you came up on the wrong side of the scoreboard in both games. Now, Juice, for the conspiracy theorists out there was one common denominator outside of Ted Ginn Jr., and it was Beyonce. Oh. Beyonce was the halftime performer in both of those Super Bowls. Do you think that the Beyonce jinx cost you a Super Bowl ring? And if so, what performer would have made sure that you would have finished the Super Bowl champion?
Oh, man, that's tough. So I'm going to say I love B. I always say that. You can't take facts away from us. She was there. You did it. But if I could switch it around, I would put Future. Because we brought Future out for Tony Montana in San Francisco.
Huh?
So he was like our, you know what I'm saying? He was like our good luck charm.
Got it.
At that time. So
if you had Future, you would have the hardware as well.
Yeah, that'd be 47. And then 50, man, I don't know.
That's all right.
Bring
Future at least
back.
You have one.
We'll just bring Future back.
Yeah, run it back. Beyonce got to do it twice. Run it back. Try to get you that hardware.
That was Cam Boy. That was Cam Boy. Yep.
There you go. That's the 2-minute drill. He is Ted Ginn Jr. Hey, Juice, when two Green Road guys get back together again,
here we go.
You know how it's going to be a great podcast.
Here we go. That's how y'all roll.
This was fun, man.
That's how y'all roll.
No doubt.
It's good.
Hey, Ted, thanks for diving in, man.
No doubt. Thank you all, man. Anytime y'all need me, let me know, man. Appreciate it.
You're now diving into the fish tank.